Breaking today, another round of test votes to end the government shutdown failing on the Senate floor. No surprise there, as the top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer suggests his party is exactly where it wants to be. Punchbowl News reporting today, we interviewed Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on Wednesday in his Capitol office, where the New York Democrat was as bullish as he's ever been about his shutdown strategy. Quote, "Every day gets better for us," Schumer asserted. A sentiment Schumer echoed today on the Senate floor. Listen here.
Each day, our case to fix health care and end the shutdown gets better and better, stronger and stronger.
House Majority Leader Steve Scalise took some time to be with us this afternoon. Mr. Leader, thank you very much for joining us. What Schumer said there about every day things get better for us, does that leave any doubt as to whether this is about policy or politics?
Well, John, what it shows you is that Chuck Schumer doesn't care about the pain he's inflicting on American people, because millions of families are struggling from this shutdown. You know, military men and women that are not getting paid. At least 1 in 3 service members, military service members, live paycheck to paycheck. And Chuck Schumer is bragging that it's getting better for Chuck Schumer. Well, it's surely not getting better for those service members who are living paycheck to paycheck. So what kind of measuring stick do you have, John, when you measure your success by somebody else's pain and suffering? And that's what Chuck Schumer is inflicting on the American people, and it's got to end.
So the eye of this hurricane on Capitol Hill all swirls around these Obamacare enhanced tax credits and whether or not they will be extended. There is a bipartisan bill sponsored by a Republican to extend them by 1 year. Do you support that bill?
Well, let's keep in mind the whole reason that those insurance company subsidies, and remember, they're bailouts to insurance companies we're talking about, they were set to expire by Democrats. Ask Chuck Schumer if they're so important to him. Why is it that he is the one who set them up to sunset, to expire? And ultimately, if you look at Obamacare as a whole, it's not working. Premiums are going up dramatically for families, over 20% in most years, each year, one after the other. So families are paying more, and that's after heavy subsidies to insurance companies. So bailing out insurance companies to try to bail out Obamacare is not the answer. Why don't we focus on things like association health plans, health savings accounts, things that help families lower their premiums for health care?
So do I take it then that you're a no on that 1-year extension bill?
You can mark me down as a no on that. But ultimately, let's get to a separate conversation about how to lower health care premiums once we get the lights back on, once Chuck Schumer ends this charade of a government shutdown. Might be working good for Chuck Schumer, but it's hurting millions of families. Let's have that different debate on a lot of things. It's not just health care, all the priorities of government funding, but you can't do that while you're in the middle of a shutdown.
All right, but on that particular point, Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire makes the point that the insurance companies have a November 1st deadline where they set their rates, and that if you don't include this extension in the CR, that you don't have enough time to try to negotiate an extension between Republicans and Democrats before November the 1st. I know that they don't sunset until December the 31st, but she says that there is this urgent deadline of November the 1st. Is she right or wrong about that?
Well, ask her why she then set that ticking time bomb. Again, it was Democrats who created the subsidies, and they said it was temporary for COVID. Remember, COVID is over. They set these up to be COVID-only temporary subsidies. In fact, if you look at the law that created it, it's literally titled temporary, and they set them up to expire. Democrats did. So they're expiring because Democrats set them to expire. And by the way, they're primarily insurance company subsidies. And even with those subsidies, premiums for families went up for health care. Obamacare costs for families still increased with the subsidies because Obamacare doesn't work. That's what we should be focused on fixing.
So the president has indicated a couple of times, and he did it again today at the cabinet meeting, that if the shutdown continues much longer, he's going to implement a program to fundamentally restructure the federal government, which will mean a lot of cuts. Here's what the president said in the cabinet room today.
The shutdown has been, pretty damaging. I mean, it's not yet because it's early, but it gets a little bit worse as it goes along. And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs.
So the Democrats are obviously howling about those cuts, but President Trump and Russ Vought have basically said, look, you've handed us this opportunity on a silver platter. Why wouldn't we take advantage of it?
Well, in part of the law, by the way, that law, John, goes back to the 1800s that says if the government's in a shutdown, the president, whoever the president is, gets the authority and requirement to determine what gets funded and what doesn't. That's in the law. Chuck Schumer can end that today. If Chuck Schumer doesn't want the president to have that power, he can vote today to end the shutdown, and then that power comes back to Congress. But that's a law that goes back to the 1800s. Chuck Schumer's very familiar with it. He may have voted for that law. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we can end all of this by just having Chuck Schumer and a few of his colleagues, just 5 of them, John, can vote to end this charade right now and get back to a negotiation on our bigger differences.
Between you and Congressman Lawler, Schumer's taking it on the chin today. Mr. Leader, thanks for joining us.
Well, he thinks he's having a good day, but most Americans would disagree.
Yep. All right. Got you on that front. Thank you for joining us, sir. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right, Jillian.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.